85T2128, journey to birth.
This is the journey to birth. Herein lies the promise of our lives, the hope of all our futures, the source of so many human dreams. For most parents, the journey's end, birth, proclaims the arrival of one more healthy, happy, beautiful child into our world. For most parents, pregnancy is a season of success. For most parents, it is a reaffirmation of their own good health, their own wise decisions. However, some 6.8% of babies born in the United States are of low birth weight, and by being under 5.5 pounds, they are at increased risk. In fact, low birth weight is the greatest single killer of infants. It is at the root of many defects occurring in later life. It costs Americans $1.5 billion of medical treatment each year. Isn't it ironic that in a nation possessing the most advanced medical care and technology, a nation obsessed with the notion of extending human life, that we rank a mere 18th in the world in being able to prevent infant mortality? But don't be intimidated by statistics. There is much an expected mother can do to improve her chances of a healthy child. Meet Kathy Schell, mother of 2, and soon to have her 3rd. Her views are those held by many pregnant women.
I know pregnant women really should be concerned about their diet, and I know we all try and we all talk about how good we're going to be, but there are days when you just want to go to Peppermint Park and eat 10 hot fudge sundaes. And before this pregnancy is over, I am going to do that.
Well, let's see what your weight is this week.
Getting up there.
Well, the concept of weight gain in pregnancy has really changed over the past 10 to 15 years. The mandate used to be the lower the weight gain, the better, targeting at around 14 to 15 pounds for an entire pregnancy.
Dr. Harold Fox.
Today, we're encouraging approximately 25-pound weight gains, which are associated with very good fetal growth and generally very good nutrition for the mother as well as for the fetus.
This 25-pound target, fortified by a diet rich in calcium and iron, offers mothers like Kathy hope that their fetuses will flourish. Even now, at the beginning of pregnancy, at the very outset of our journey, diet is important. Today, 6 weeks on the way towards birth, we can sense the embryo's fragility and dependence. At this stage, the embryo is the size of a mere adult thumbnail. Its future shape is only just being defined. Moving up its back, we can perceive the developing spinal cord. Arms and legs are also being formed. Inside the eye, there is the first glimmer of its lens. And beyond that, a suggestion of an ear. Kathy knows that eating well by itself is no guarantee against birth defects. Many still defy science. But in numerous cases, genetic and chromosomal birth defects can be ruled out as early as 8 weeks after conception. The risk of some birth defects can even be predicted before pregnancy by genetic counseling. Since there was no reason for concern with Kathy's pregnancy, she was told its continuing success depended mostly on her, with the support of her husband. One precaution Kathy had taken early in her pregnancy was examination by ultrasound, a procedure that actually visualizes the developing fetus through a sensor placed on the abdomen.
There's the heart right in this area, right there. What we're trying to do is to look at each chamber and make sure that they're of equal size, or relatively equal size. And that's what we're seeing here. On the screen, for instance, you can see the 4-chamber view. A couple of ventricles in the picture right now. This looks like a great heart.
Such windows into the womb are enabling not only mothers to perceive the state of their own pregnancy, but scientists to comprehend the very intricacies of fetal development. When the fetus is 8 weeks old, we now know just how vulnerable it is. This is the time when mere buds are growing into recognizable arms and hands and fingernails, when tiny stumps are evolving into delicate legs. This is the time when development is at its most precarious, a time when a physician's advice regarding the use of any medication, including common over-the-counter drugs, should especially be sought. Thanks to these windows into the womb, a mother can now have a clearer idea of how to conduct her own life during pregnancy.
I am not a smoker, and I've never been a smoker, but I do have several friends who have, smoke regularly and also have continued to smoke during their pregnancy. They, however, made a very serious effort to cut down to 5 to 10 cigarettes a day, and I personally see no reason why that would be a problem to the fetus.
Science now believes that on this point, Kathy is absolutely mistaken. Any cigarette smoking affects the fetus. Consider, for instance, its heartbeat. Under normal circumstances, the heart of the developing fetus might beat 140 times a minute. Shortly after the smoke penetrates the mother's lungs, there is almost always a dramatic change. Clearly, the mother's smoking is reducing the supply of oxygen to the fetus, thus forcing its heart to beat faster. But smoking has other, more insidious dangers, as Dr. Zena Stain knows from continuing research.
I think there are some things about cigarette smoking which we now know incontrovertibly from many, many studies. One thing, for instance, a woman is more likely to have a miscarriage if she's a cigarette smoker, and the miscarriage is more likely to have affected what looks like to have been an otherwise normal pregnancy. So in a way, it's as if it was a waste of a pregnancy due to the cigarette smoking. Second thing we know, and we know this even more firmly than the first, is that the baby will be smaller in birth weight than it otherwise would be. A half a pound in birth weight may not seem very important to many women, and it's true that if the baby is about 7 pounds, then between 6.5 and 7 and 7.5, there's not that much to it. But as you go down in the birth weight, for instance, a baby of 5 pounds, 4.5 pounds is a small baby. 5 pounds is small, 4.5 pounds is smaller. I think if women knew that during pregnancy, that embryo and fetus that's growing there is actually being impeded in its growth by the cigarettes they smoke. She would never do this in the postnatal period. When she sees her infant, she would give optimal environment to the baby, but she does it during pregnancy. She damps down the rate of growth, and I think that's wrong.
Since Kathy is a non-smoker, we can assume that at 10 weeks of age, her fetus's growth had not been inhibited by the use of tobacco. By now, while the fetus is a mere 2 inches long, it can move actively. Its liver is its most visible internal organ. as always, the fetus is both the beneficiary as well as a potential victim of its mother's diet.
I'm now on my third pregnancy, and I'm much more, overall, I'm just much more relaxed about food in general and drinking. I'm keeping it moderate. I'm not a heavy drinker. I truly, deep down inside, do not feel that an occasional drink is detrimental to the baby. I think if it was, my body would be telling me something. I trust my body all along to tell me when, just what foods to eat, and I pick up on those feelings and I go with it. And when I have a couple glasses of wine, you know, my body's not giving me any ill effects, and I see no danger.
Science does not agree with Kathy about moderate drinking for reasons that Dr. Kenneth Jones has observed over many years.
We now know that alcohol can lead to serious problems in the unborn baby. At one end of the spectrum, we have babies with a condition that is known as the fetal alcohol syndrome. The fetal alcohol syndrome is a very specific pattern of malformation which is seen in the offspring of chronically alcoholic women who continue to drink heavily during their pregnancy. And we now know that 44% of babies born to women who are chronic alcoholics have this disorder known as the fetal alcohol syndrome.
8 years ago, Roger was born to such a mother, one who drank excessively during pregnancy. The result? Permanent brain damage. His condition, fetal alcohol syndrome, is accompanied by a characteristic facial distortion. He has a defective heart. His hand and hip joints will never be properly formed. For Roger, there is no cure. But what can Roger's extreme condition tell the pregnant mother who is only a moderate drinker?
Although at the present time we clearly know less about moderate drinking than we know about chronic maternal alcoholism, there are certain facts that we do know. In a study that has recently been completed, we have discovered that 11% of babies born to women who drink between 2 and 4 glasses of wine a night or a day during the first trimester of their pregnancy have evidence of the prenatal effect of alcohol. It is my feeling that the best chance that the fetus has is for the mother not to drink at all during her pregnancy. There are very few things that we really can prevent in this life. This is one thing that we clearly can prevent, and I think we should do everything that we possibly can to do so.
By the end of the first trimester, in the 12th week of pregnancy, a healthy fetus is able to perform astonishingly delicate movements. Given the most basic restraint and consideration by its mother, it not only survives, it thrives. Bound together through the umbilical cord, the mother can keep few secrets from the fetus, for it must depend on her way of life for sustenance. One contemporary development in our way of life is the dramatic increase in the use of drugs.
I personally do not take drugs before or during my pregnancies, nor do I have friends that take drugs. I think it's just a really dumb idea to fool around with them. You're just taking a real risk. They chemically alter the body, and I just wouldn't take the risk of them chemically altering the fetus just to have a kick. I don't think the kick is worth it.
Kathy's feelings about drugs are absolutely correct, but drug use is becoming a nationwide problem, as Dr. Exlina Bean knows firsthand.
This is a baby who was born to a mother who was hooked on PCP. Since the mother was hooked on PCP, the baby was born addicted to PCP. Babies who are born to drug-abusing mothers tend to be very tense when they're born. They tend to be what we call hyperactive or hypertonic. They tend to be very jittery, which means that they shake a lot. They tend to be very irritable, and they do tend to cry a lot. because of the increased type of activity that they have, this often interferes with them eating, sleeping, and they often have, for instance, diarrhea. So that basically it interferes with the kind of things that are necessary for the baby to do in the first couple of days of life in order to thrive.
While studies of the long-term effects of drug abuse during pregnancy are still being conducted, we can now say with assurance that an infant born hooked is an infant who is clearly not given the best start in life.
Ma, I need you to watch it.
I'm a real believer in exercising because I've seen it, you know, through my own pregnancies, that it really helps with the backaches, it helps with cramps, it gives you extra energy. It's terrific, and I think it really makes a difference whether you feel good or bad during your pregnancy.
For mothers like Kathy who enter pregnancy in good health, continuing a modest exercise program is recommended. But for those who never strenuously exercised before, pregnancy is not the time to begin. Throughout, the mother, particularly the working mother, should respond to any subtle changes in her body, possible signals of premature labor, by immediately contacting her physician. Had we been able to observe Kathy's fetus at 18 weeks, we would have seen that it had grown to 5.5 inches in length. By now its mouth and lips were fully formed, and its nose contained remarkable nasal plugs whose purpose science still does not fully understand. And while its eyes were closed, they were fully formed. All important anatomical systems are now developed. During the next 20 weeks preceding birth, it will change little in shape, but its size will increase nearly 4 times. The womb is filled with amniotic fluid, which the fetus inhales and exhales as if it were air. On the day Kathy's baby was due, she was still waiting. "38 weeks, 3 days, and 17 hours after her pregnancy began, Kathy went into labor and was taken to the hospital by her husband. Because the fetus had shifted position during the last few days of her pregnancy, and because her first child was delivered by cesarean section, a decision was made to perform the same procedure this time.
Getting the head out now.
Baby's almost out. Everything's out but its head.
Valerie, the suction.
I know. It's all struck over there. Do you need it?
Got it.
There we go.
6:53, it's a baby boy.
Did you know it was a boy?
Had a tough day. Yes, hello. Hello, happy birthday. Yeah. There's your baby. Oh, sweet.
You don't need this. Is he okay? He just seems to be grunting. It's okay. He's getting used to breathing.
Exactly.
Blake Butler Shell. Weight, 7 pounds, 9 ounces. Health, excellent.
Hi.
Today, his greatest journey is at an end.
Look at him, open his eyes.
Thanks largely to the wise decisions of his parents, That journey was a stunning success.
Well, don't unwrap.
I know, but I want to look at him. Hi, I'm your mom. You have a brother and a sister waiting to see you? Who are you gonna look like? Huh?
I know.
Oh, he is cute. He is a sweetie. So nicely proportioned.